All roads may lead to Rome, but in the modern global economy, all flights were deliberately designed to pass through Dubai. That was never an accident. It was a calculated strategy that transformed geography into dependency, turning Dubai International Airport into the central artery of an economy that, according to Oxford Economics in 2024, draws nearly 27% of the Emirates' GDP from aviation alone. In 2025, the airport celebrated a record 95.2 million passengers, a number that felt like proof of unstoppable momentum. But looking back, that peak now reads less like a triumph and more like a concentration of risk, a single point of failure disguised as success. Then March 1st, 2026 arrived, and smoke rising from Terminal 3 did not just signal a security breach. It exposed the fragile promise that Dubai has always sold to global capital: absolute safety in an inherently unstable region. Within less than 2 months, over 2,200 unmanned aerial vehicles were intercepted across controlled airspace, transforming what was once a seamlessly managed sky into a battlefield of calculated uncertainty. The Patriot defense system may have intercepted 519 individual targets, but in the world of aviation, even a fraction slipping through is sufficient to shatter trust entirely. And trust, not infrastructure, is the real currency of any transit hub. Insurance premiums surged by 500%. British Airways suspended all flights until July, and capacity at Dubai International collapsed to just 12% of its operational baseline. Outside the terminals, the cost of maintaining empty infrastructure reached $15 million per day. A system engineered for constant movement was now bleeding from stillness, with flight traffic down 70% and supply chains connecting Asia and Europe significantly disrupted. The hub-and-spoke model, the architectural backbone of Dubai's economic identity, had begun to fracture under the weight of sustained geopolitical pressure. When a city constructs its entire economic personality around the principle of being permanently connected, the consequences of disconnection are not gradual. They are immediate and structural. The illusion of invincibility, built on decades of record-breaking passenger numbers, dissolved within weeks. If you are finding this analysis valuable and important, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs to understand what is happening. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a breakdown like this. Move away from the airport terminals and into the heart of Dubai's luxury ecosystem, where the symbols of excess are now revealing the cost of their own ambition. The Burj Al Arab was never simply a hotel. It was a statement, a physical declaration that isolation equals safety, and that safety justifies extraordinary excess. But that equation began to collapse the moment debris from an intercepted UAV fell onto its pristine exterior. The estimated repair cost exceeding $40 million is only the visible surface of a much deeper crisis, because the specialized materials required cannot be sourced easily under disrupted supply chains. Capital alone cannot solve scarcity when logistics have broken down. Occupancy dropped below 10%, the lowest recorded since the hotel's opening in 1999, and investment in high-end resort real estate declined by 40% in just the first 2 months of 2026. The ultra-wealthy do not respond to price adjustments. They respond to the presence or absence of risk. When debris falls freely onto a private beach, no nightly rate in the world can compensate for that uncertainty. Capital quietly relocates, often before headlines even appear, toward Singapore, toward Switzerland, toward environments where stability remains predictable. Meanwhile, the helipad once used for carefully staged moments of global prestige has been repurposed for low-altitude defense monitoring, and internal estimates suggest a 35% drop in brand value almost overnight. Across the city at Dubai Mall, a structure that contributes up to 5% of the Emirates' GDP and was designed to convert global liquidity into visible consumption, pedestrian traffic has dropped by 45%. Revenue along Fashion Avenue declined by 60% within 4 weeks of escalating conflict, a contraction too sharp to attribute to seasonality or temporary caution. When oil exceeded $110 per barrel, electricity costs for maintaining massive climate control systems increased by 25%, and even the aquarium lighting was reduced to conserve energy. Of the 1,200 stores operating inside the mall, 15% of franchise operators have already begun to exit, not due to a lack of capital, but because they understand the trajectory. Inventory shortages caused by disruptions at Jebel Ali Port are transforming luxury retail into empty display. The mindset of residents has shifted from discretionary spending toward precautionary stockpiling, undermining the very behavioral engine that powers Dubai's commercial model. If this level of analysis is what you are looking for, please like, share, comment your perspective below, and subscribe to the channel to stay ahead of every development. Climb to 828 meters above ground level, and the Burj Khalifa, once an architectural declaration of human ambition and commercial dominance, reveals a different truth under present conditions. Height in a stable system is a competitive advantage. In an unstable environment, it becomes exposure. From March 1st, 2026, the observation decks were forced to close indefinitely, not due to declining tourism interest, but because evacuation within a 3 to 5 minute missile warning window is mathematically impossible. Thousands of visitors distributed across extreme vertical distance simply cannot be moved fast enough, and architecture designed for aspiration becomes a liability under pressure. Within a 50-kilometer radius, 18 ballistic missile impacts have already been recorded. Property values in the surrounding district declined by 22% in just 60 days, not as an emotional reaction, but as a rational repricing of measurable risk. International professionals have begun relocating or transitioning to remote arrangements, reducing the concentration of high-value economic activity across the entire downtown zone. The tower is being gradually integrated into military communication networks, repurposing a global symbol of prosperity into a strategic asset, and the domino effect across surrounding real estate valuations and investment flows has already begun. On the Palm Jumeirah, the story is equally stark. This artificial island has no natural geological foundation. Its existence depends entirely on continuous reinforcement, active pumping systems, and uninterrupted supply chains. When offshore explosions generated shock waves strong enough to crack glass facades of coastal resorts, that was only the initial warning. With Jebel Ali port shifting toward militarization, maintenance costs on the island increased by 30% immediately. Nearly 80,000 residents and visitors now face limited access to a single vulnerable supply route for food and fresh water. Real estate listings show a 300% increase in distressed sales, yet liquidity has nearly disappeared, creating a market where sellers exist without buyers, a textbook signal of structural breakdown. Superyachts have departed the marina not as a lifestyle choice, but as capital flight.